Hello, so this recording is on slope and with tables. So we're going to find the rate of change from this table. So let's jump right in. So remember that we did the rate of change. Tablet's not working. Hold on, there we go. Okay, now it's working. So we have to do the change in y over the change. Remember, this is the little symbol, change in y over the change in x. So to go from 10 to 5, that's plus 5. To go from 1 to 2, that's plus 1. And you can check these as well. That's plus 5. This is plus 1. So change in y is 5. Change in x is 1. Simplifies to 5. So this rate of change or slope is 5. So in this lesson, we're going to actually learn how to use a slope formula and determine the slope of two given points. So that you can interpret the slope of a line using the slope formula. You'll know you got it if you can use the formula to determine the slope of a line. So let's go ahead and get started. So remember this, we've been working on slope. We got rise over run. The rise is the change in the x, or change in the y coordinate. The x is the change in the, the run is the change in the x coordinate. All right, then remember types of slopes: negative, positive, zero, undefined. All right, so this is the slope formula, and just watch. We're going to watch this quick video. Here is the video.
Slope is defined as the change in y divided by the change in x. There are multiple formulas for slope, so let's look at them. First, we'll look at rise over run. Rise is how much we move up or down on a graph, and run is how much we move left or right on a graph. In other words, rise is the movement of the y coordinates, and run is the movement of the x coordinates. Now I mentioned slope is the change in y divided by the change in x. We can represent it like this: triangle y over triangle x. This triangle is delta, and in math, it just means change. So we have the change in y divided by the change in x. Now, if we're finding the change in y, that means that we're taking the difference between two y coordinates on a line. So, on our line, we'd find two y coordinates and then find their difference. That's the change in y. Same thing with the change in x. We find the difference between two x coordinates on a line. So we have multiple ways to represent slope. Slope is equal to the rise over the run, the change in y over the change in x, or y sub 2 minus y sub 1 divided by x sub 2 minus x sub 1.
All right, so let's go back over here to our recording. So good explanation of that. So it actually is on your STAR reference chart. You should have this downloaded by now and hopefully print it out. Please make sure you do that. It's actually in the 8th grade math section. So here's slope of a line. It's right there on the reference chart, the formula. Okay, M stands for slope, and this is what she said: the change in y over the change in x. Difference in two y coordinates over the difference in two x coordinates. All right, so let's see how that's done. So here's 2 points that go through a line. So all we're going to have to do is to substitute in our numbers. Now, if we label these, this would be x1, y1, x2, y2. And it doesn't matter, but so our formula says to do the y2 minus y1. So 4 minus negative 3. And then over the x2 minus x1. Now you can use a calculator, but Remember, when you're subtracting integers, you actually change this to plus and then the opposite. So this is 7 and 5. So the answer would be B. And remember, slope is the rate of change. All right, let's try this one. We have -7, 5, 14, 1. X1, Y1, X2, Y2. So we're going to use the formula, and we're going to go ahead and put the -1 minus 5 over 14 minus -7. Okay, rules of integers, the minus is the plus negative. When you have two negatives, you just add those, so it's -6. And then 14, here's our rules again. We have to change plus, opposite is positive, and then 14 plus 7 is 21. Now that can be simplified. So if it can be simplified, you need to do that. So both of those can be divided by 3. And -6 divided by 3 is -2. And then 21 divided by 3 is 7. So the slope is -2/7. Y'all remember, you should be taking notes while you're doing this. And all the specific notes are in Class Kick. All right, so this one, we have 7, 1, -2, 3. So x1, y1, x2, y2. So I'm going to do the y2 minus the y1. I wrote over that. It's hard to see. I think it's 1, right? Yeah, 1. And then x2 minus x1. All right, 3 minus 1 is 2. This becomes plus negative, so that's -9. You can always use your calculator to help. So -2/9. That cannot be simplified. That is our slope. All right, so we're not doing a breakout room in the recording, but if you're in class doing this, you will be doing a breakout room. So let's just do a few more. I don't think we're going to do all these, but you can pause and practice, and we'll do a couple. So let's do this one. You have -4, 2. You have 5, 6. So x1, y1, x2, y2. So we're going to do the 6 using the formula, 6 minus 2 over 5 minus 4. 6 minus 2 is 4. 5 minus 4 is 1. That simplifies to 4. Number 2, we have x1, y1, x2, y2. So then we have 3 minus -5 over 7 minus 5. Use the rules of integers or use that calculator. Plus, positive, so that's 8. And then 7 minus 5 is 2. That actually can be simplified to 4. So the slope is 4. All right, you can pause and try the those two right there. And then the last problem here, it says multiple choice problem. We have 1, -5, 4, 3. So I'm going to put this in black. It's x1, y1, x2, y2. So using our formula, we're going to put in 1 minus -5 over 4 minus 1. Use those integer rules. This becomes plus positive. 1 plus 5 is 6. 4 minus 1 is 3. And that actually simplifies to 2. And the answers are not correct on this. So those are wrong. This should have been 2. And Just make sure we got that right. I mean, I'm going to verify here. So 1 minus -5 is definitely 6, and 4 minus 1 is 3, so it's definitely 2. So that is correct. All right, please make sure that you complete your lessons for the week and complete those assessments. This is actually a week ahead, so next week expect a test. All right, reach out to me if you have any questions.